Hello, welcome back, everybody, to another year of the Sunday Podcast.
I'm Ollie Lum.
And I'm Matt Seddon.
Back in 2025 for our 5th season. You can expect more of this.
He's claiming that he was ill before the semi-final, whatever. But, you know, I just feel like at that point he was just looking for attention.
And some of this.
Elio normally say, no human is limited. So I can't limit myself, or I can't just say I can do.
As well as event coverage around all the major races on the UK circuit.
And if you're a fan of the pod, please give us a rating and review on your preferred podcast streaming service.
And if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news, give us a follow on Instagram at Sunday Podcast.
As always, thanks for listening. See you next time. And we hope you enjoyed the episode.
Hello and welcome back to another episode, our final episode of our little Tokyo series. Can't believe it's done already, but thanks for waiting a few extra hours for this one to get out. We're brought to you by sportshoes.com as always, and we've just witnessed Mr. Cole Hocker become the world 5,000 meter champion. Mate, we did predict it, didn't we? But I think as soon as he went out of the 15, we knew it was a lock.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I was pre-race. I was just in a group chat to the boys, and I was saying, I think the three men who are going to feature here, Hocker, Gressier, and Kimeli. You know, they looked great. Obviously, Gressier in the 10, Kimeli was fresh, he was fired up for the 5, and obviously Hockey here after the 15. And those were the three who came out on top. Well, just what a final, though. I just think credit to Grant Fisher and Nico Young. They took it on. Fisher's been disappointing this champs. I don't quite know what the reasoning is. He's had a tough champs. Nico Young has also had a tough champs. You know, those guys they just haven't been at their best. I don't think they've been quite a long way off it. And I just think some of those 5Ks and they were in on the Diamond League circuit, they raced quite heavily, and that's probably why. But obviously they take it up. The Ethiopians give it a good go as well. The pace was honest enough to make sure that people didn't have, you know, some real big kicks at the end. And obviously Jakob gets involved with a few laps to go. And it was a bit of a shame to see him just, you know, they moved around him so easily at the bell, or was it like 4:50 to go? They just moved around him so well. And it was a bit of a shame to see Jakob sort of fall back so far. But, you know, I just got to give, you know, he deserves so much respect because he does come out and he toes the line, and, you know, he's done the 1500, he's done the 5K, and like, you know, he won't make excuses or say he just wasn't at it, you know, injuries and stuff. And yeah, I just credit to him for that. I think he carries himself well. But yeah, Hocker at 300 to go, you could see he was going to come around, the ease in which he was moving by people. And, you know, Kimeli and Gressier getting a bit tangled with Mahari, wasn't it, at 200 to go. And you just know that in the home straight, Hocker is not getting done by two 5K, 10K boys. Like, he's so fast.
I think that's the thing. Like, as soon as you saw him anywhere near a sniff with 100 to go, you know he's got it in the bag. And obviously, he's not got that 1500 meter final in his legs. He's fired up from getting the DQ, and yeah, it was only going one way. And I think you bang on about Jakob though, mate. I thought actually I was impressed he managed to. I thought he might have done a bit of a Mills today, to be honest.
Yeah.
Actually, just been off the back after how he looked in his heat, didn't look great. But it was really nice to see him actually manage to hit the front and able to have a couple laps there and really try and push it on. And so I think he'd have enjoyed that. Like, as much as he's a massive competitor, I think he'll have enjoyed that. After all the problems he's had, he's still able to go and do that on the world stage. So super impressive, Jakob. And like you say, carried himself well throughout the whole champs. I think with Nico Young, I don't think he's someone I really expected to feature. I think actually for him to even just make the 5 and the 10 so convincingly in like the US team, I think that's still good movements from him, like going forward. But Grant Fisher, I think you're bang on in terms of, disappointing. And we would really like to see him kick on from what he did last year, obviously in the Olympics, and then the indoor season he's had, and early outdoors. We expected him to be right up there. But look, we've spoken about it the past few episodes. I think athletes have got to learn a few lessons around their race schedule and peaking for championships in the end of September.
Yeah. They certainly do. And I agree with Jakob. I think Jakob's gone and he's gone, look, I'm the defending champion. I need to show myself. I'm going to get to the front for some stage in this race. And so, yeah, he didn't go out without a fight, which was good. Schedule, definitely. I think it's so difficult. September champs. I think, you know, two things with this championships, the heat and the humidity, and obviously the fact it's the fact it's the 21st of September, you know, and I think that is always going to throw up surprises. And they're two things that it's very hard to sort of contend with and plan for, because next year you're going to have, there isn't really a global champs, but, you know, you're going to have the European champs. It's in fucking July. It's the end of July, early August, and same with the Commonwealth Games. You know, every year these championships change. So it's difficult. You kind of can't get that perfect build, and you learn from year to year. And so, that's a challenge. And who knows when the World Championships is going to be in 2027, what the time frame of that is. And then obviously, London as well. So more often than not, you are racing sort of 6 weeks earlier, like early August is when the championships usually is. But some athletes have got it absolutely spot on. And so it's someone who got it clearly really wrong was George Mills. How can you run 12:46 and 3:28, have your best season to date, be faster than most men in that field, and struggle that badly? He obviously has struggled towards the latter part of the season, and at his championships, he was all in on the 5K. You look at like Kimeli, how well Kimeli's executed his season. He's had a terrific season. Dead right on that final Diamond League over the one in the pissing rain, the 13:08 one in Dan, wasn't it? Got it dead right there. Comes in here and again, absolutely superb to get second behind Cole Hocker. I mean, that is a fantastic champs for him. And yeah, you look at someone like that, compare his season to Mills. It's unfortunate for Mills, and I'm sure there might be a reason for it, but he is just an example of someone who's got it wrong, along with Nico, along with Grant, and quite a few of the Ethiopians as well have seriously underperformed.
Do you think Mills ran too hard in the heat?
Look,
I think he tried to make too much of a statement in that heat.
I don't know, because I think
he's been injured. Like, to be fair, and it was an injury that wasn't like his fault. It's his fault for maybe.
You're talking about the wrist problem?
Yeah, but it pushed you out of training.
Well, I think he was out of action for a week or so, if that.
Yeah.
But
should have been running British champs then, shouldn't he?
Oh yeah. I mean, he hasn't raced much. I just think he just gone almost just too long, really. But yeah, it's difficult, and again, this is, I wonder, Grant Fisher had a similar season where, Fisher was amazing indoors, running world records. He was in amazing form, 3,000, 5,000. That was a ridiculous week. He did it in the space of a week, didn't he? Or 2 weeks. It was crazy. And Mills,
do you know what it does though? There's a reason those world records were as not weak, but as relatively weak as they were, because Grant Fisher is not the greatest indoor 3,000, 5,000 meter runner of all time. And the reason those records are weak is because the best boys don't race indoors, and if they do, they're not trying to run fast times at that time of year because they're prepping for a championship. Yeah, like history tells us that's why. Because otherwise, Grant wouldn't have been able to run the records if the best people in each season or each year in history, past 30 years or whatever, had been trying to nail a 5K indoors. Grant Fisher would not have got the world record because the time would be quicker. Yeah. It tells you all you need to know in a way. The fact he's able to run a world record is like, well, there's a reason the world record was that slow. Yeah, and Boston's done that because Boston and the indoor Grand Prix and stuff. Those tracks have forced athletes to go. Here's a record. I can go and attack the record. And you're right. Those records in relative terms, they're far more achievable than the outdoor record, because people who ran, when they ran those records, like the likes of Hiley and people like that, they were nowhere near peaking. Yeah. No, if you look at someone like Farah's like indoor PBs, right? Yeah. It's like, and there's a reason for that. It's not because he couldn't do it. It's because he's focusing on August or September, whatever it is. Yeah. I'll be honest, man. Like if I'm a distance runner going forward, I think I would avoid the indoor season. When a championship is in September, I actually think you want to be avoiding that indoor season. Unless you're someone like some of our Brits, right, who need to go nail a standard and making the champs is the priority, then don't touch it. What's the point? What's the point in running 12:50 indoors? Yeah, I think even look at someone like Scott Beattie, right? Where he ran indoors. And then obviously the season he's had coming off that, unfortunately, a real shame. Like, and it's just, but it's so hard for athletes like in that position where you're just trying to go and run a time, because that's all you can really do is just put yourself in the best position to run a time. But someone like Grant Fisher, where you know you're going to nail the standard regardless, you got to think like bide your time. Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Saying that, someone like Gressier did run all his PBs and national records indoors, and his 12:54 was indoors. His 7:30. He was in all the races. Fisher was, to be fair to him, was Gressier. He's then been quiet though. He was quiet early outdoors, right? Am I right in saying? Whereas Fisher just seemed to carry on, going straight into Grand Slam. Grand Slam, Grand Slam. I think that indoors okay if you then take a break. Well, do you know what Gressier did? What Gressier did, which was interesting, was he went and ran the half marathon, didn't he? He won the European road running, and he ran 59:45 on what was not much of a quick course. He basically ran the whole thing. It was fucking sickening, actually. That run was severely underrated. And so it shows you that after that, he seriously went back in and got a ridiculous strength block, because
He's running sub 59 minutes on a fast course with paces, which would have been that's equivalent to a European record. And so it was interesting to see it went back to that after running his 5K and 3K. Or it shows you that actually he was still in quite a strength block when he was doing his 3K, 5K indoor times. But yeah, so I think, like we said, some people have executed this year really well. Some haven't. Lots of lessons learned, I think, for a lot of athletes. But that men's 5K, just terrific. And I did really rate the fact Fisher and Nico Young took it on. They clearly I think they had a discussion beforehand as well. And then the Ethiopians got involved. But Hoka is just, for a large part of it though, I was like, Hoka, even with the 600 to go, he was so boxed in. I was like, Hoka, man, you are capable. Mate. Oh, he's capable of absolutely creaming that event, and he's just stuck on the inside. And I'm just like, dude, how are you going to get out of this? And he got lucky that at the bell, Kimeli and Mahari actually like really pushed on. So then things started to go single file again. But if they hadn't gone past Jakob at the bell, it would have bunched up crazy. And then Hoka would just be in such a tricky position. So
I think he's lucky. He's lucky the pace was good, because if the pace is, it sounds almost like backwards, but actually if the pace is slower, so many other guys are kicking pretty fast as well, and then it's so much harder to maneuver. Whereas actually at that pace, no one can live with his speed. And so it's so easy to actually make a move and go past someone, because you've got so much more pace to give. Yeah. Well, look, he got it right. It was convincing. It's not like he had to kind of pip someone on the line, but you got to think, particularly after the 1500 semi, that he might have wanted to take a bit closer order. But mate, to be honest, he was probably running pretty hard. Whilst he had a huge kick, he was probably like hurting quite a bit, because the pace wasn't too shabby.
I don't know how much he was hurting me. Look, check a load of this. His last 400, right? 14-0, 13-1, 12-9, 12-5 his last 100.
Yeah,
I mean,
insane.
dude, did anyone even break 13 on? No one's even broken 13 on their last 100. He's put a second on everyone in I will put just over half a second on everyone in the last 100. And that back straight, 13-1 on the back straight. I mean,
that's insane.
Beast. Absolute beast, mate. And so, what was that last lap then? 54 maybe? I mean, his last 200 is 20, he's gone 25-4, his last 200. He's gone 53 for his last lap. Jesus. Almost 52 for his last lap. Fucking hell, yeah.
Which at that pace is crazy.
Yeah. And hats off to Kimeli and Gressier. I mean, this is crazy. The first place Ethiopian was Mahari, and fifth. The Ethiopians are struggling. The Kenyans are struggling. This is... No, and this is why...
era, mate. It's a new era.
This is why the Europeans next year... I love it, because the Europeans used to be a bit like,
Yeah, and people would miss it. They'd be like, well, it's a bit of a
subpar. Farah wouldn't bother. But you look at next year, right? We're going to have Kimeli and Gressier, who, 2-3 in the 5,000.
Jakob back.
Gressier and Almgren, who are 1-3 in the 10,000. Obviously, Jakob is back into the equation. You're going to have people like Mills. You're going to have Jan Scrub. You're going to have Foppen, Laros, like Nielsen. It's all the French guys. I mean, France had 3 in that final today. It's just... Yeah, just looking at Mills' last 100, 18.
Yeah. Have we seen Mills' interview yet? Anything on socials?
Last lap. What's he done here? He's run a 70. He's run a 70 on the last lap there.
Yeah, he did not look pleased, did he?
No, I think it's a shame. Maybe there's something.
Little injury or just overcooked.
I think he's got to get involved more. Like, I mean, he obviously something weren't right today. Like, there's no way he should be dropping off like that. But, it's okay going to the back, but you got to get a bit involved. Like, Hoka goes off with intent. He gets to the front. He's starting to dictate things. Yes, he gets shunted back. But, Fisher, I just think, if you're Mills, you got to get a little bit involved at some point in that race. I mean, he'll walk away from that and be like, Christ, I set off in last and I finished last.
Yeah.
How sort of depressing is that? Like, at least try and just at some point just move up. And I think this is what Farah used to do well. He used to go like, and Jakob does this. Jakob was at the back for a long time and decides, right, I'm just going to move up. I'm just going to get involved, because I don't want to walk away from this race being on the defense and just being so negative and conservative.
Yeah, it's all right to go off like easy through the first 50 and 100 because people get excited, but you need to like pay some close order. Like, and that's the thing, like you talk about Farah and Jakobs, like they are ridiculous talents and they're so fit, and actually moving past the whole field is so easy for them. Like Mills is not at that level yet to think that he can just start in last and then will be even able to just cruise past a field of world-class guys. It's his first major final.
Yeah. Well, no, he was in the Olympics, wasn't he? But well, yeah, I guess
by default.
Yeah. Yep. So there's your men's 5K. I mean, it was great. It was great to watch. They always are. It always delivers. It really is. For me, that was probably just, I thought it was better than the 15. Like, it was just,
Yeah.
Seeing Whiteman get silver was amazing, but
I think just when all the big players are in there, we weren't missing anyone. And so,
whereas, the 15,
it's a shame. And we shouldn't think like that because it's so easy to do, isn't it? Like the 15, like the people weren't in there for a reason, and it's no fault of the guys who then finish in the medals. But as fans, it's really hard to watch it and not think, what if Hocker was in there? What if Kerr didn't get injured? What if? So
Hocker's been denied of a historic double there, but I remember after Paris, you're looking
he's
at it.
He's denied himself.
Yeah, but still, after Paris, you're looking at it going, this guy could dominate the 1500 for the next few years because, now, and it's kind of like Jakob for the last 4 years. He was the strongest over 5K in the 1500 race and no one could outrun him. And he was also very fast. Hocker has more wheels than Jakob. He's faster than Jakob. And you're going, when Hocker steps into a 1500 race, there's no one better than him over 5K. When he's competing against, and then you look at when Hocker steps into a 5K race, there's no one better than him over the 1500. So it's like, I just don't get, if he stays how he is and keeps like ticking along and improve, I don't get how you beat this man. Like you look at, he will dominate. I think Jakob needs to step up to the 5 and the 10 now. You look at the 1500, I don't think Jakob is going to get anywhere near winning gold.
It's like we said before though, the issue he has is if he puts all his eggs in the 5 and the 10 is that actually how effective is he at 5 and 10 when he doesn't have his 1500 speed?
Yeah, because exactly.
You know what I mean?
He's racing Hocker. He's racing Hocker. He has to get himself to. Jakob was amazing at front running 1500s. He has to get himself to a place where he can get in a championship and he can front run 1250, 1245 because that
or
is
just hit a crazy last mile.
Yeah, that will take the sting out of people. And the problem was with today, it was a 13:10 race for a large part. 12:05 at the bell, and then they've nipped below 13, but a lot of that's done in that last K, that last 800. Yeah, let's move on to the women's 800, which was also an incredible race just before it, and I think we saw this coming. I think we saw Keely getting pipped. I mean, I haven't liked the excuses that have been coming out from Keely's camp and Keely. You read the paper article today or yesterday and she's moaning about the bus ride from the warm-up track to the stadium, which does sound a bit shit. It is 15 minutes on the bus, not ideal, to then get to the track. And then obviously, supposedly there's only one toilet and everyone's trying to use the toilet. And, it doesn't sound amazing. However, it's the same for everyone. And it's been the same in champs. So I guess, and I just think when things are, when if you're saying that as an athlete, and that's then getting publicized the day before the final, if you're her rival, you're going, come on. That's exactly what you want to be reading. She's.
And the thing, I'm just like, you need to complain about these things when you're winning for me. Like you need to come out and say that after you win the Olympics, and then you might get things changed. Whereas actually, it just sounds a bit sour, doesn't it?
Yeah. In a way, it does. But I just think you shouldn't be making any excuses throughout the championships.
That's what I mean. I'm saying make the excuse even after you've won, and say
make the excuse up.
These are problems. We need to get these things fixed, rather than
yeah. And
what we do have to do, because
what's interesting is listening to Jenny in punditry. Even in the semi-final, she's giving off. I'm going, oh, Jenny, no, what are you saying? She's admitting, she's like, oh, we planned Keely to go through 400 quicker than that. Maybe she's a little tired. That was unlike Keely. But then she's held on and she's done well and she's strong. And then she's going, it's championship ready. This, I'm going, Jenny, you're saying too much. Like, you're saying too much. I don't know how I feel about Jenny in punditry when Keely and George are racing, but.
Well, that's it. You compare that to obviously Crammy, and I know he's not got anyone kind of as high profile as that, but he's always been very doesn't say anything really.
Hey, I think he doesn't even commentate on if it's a final. I think he avoids commentating on. Maybe
he used to commentate on Laura Waitman, didn't he? But it would only be after they finished. He'd be like, oh, that's like a brilliant run from her, or whatever. But he would never like kind of.
Commentating's different because commentating you're calling the race. You're not. Whereas punditry, you're actually sitting there and you gotta say, right?
Yeah.
She's there and Janet's asking her all about Keely and Georgia. And in one hand, it's great because we, the viewers, are getting the inside info, which is great. But I think if you are Count Keely, you're like, it's difficult because you could tell after after the semi, she was like, ooh, and you could tell Keely was a little disappointed in her semi as well.
Yeah.
So, but actually when you deep it and you look like, Jesus, she's run another 154 tonight. I did not think that 154.
You think you think that'd be enough to win, right? 154.9.
Easily, it's easily. And I would never imagine that Adira looked amazing, but you're like, if you look amazing running 157, 154 is a different ballgame. And to go win that in 154.6, is a fantastic run. And so to be fair to Keely, she has actually just kind of she's run her level. And she was at that level in the Diamond Leagues a few weeks ago. People weren't quite at that level, but they've just since the Diamond League to the World Champs, they've caught her up in that sense. And, she's lost out to better girls on the night.
Yeah. And what we do have to do is celebrate Lillian Adira's run here. 154.6, because I think it's so easy for us to just talk about Georgia Bell and Keely, obviously from a British perspective, and of course we will, but that's an insane run and not someone we expected to be winning that race. I think if we were like, if Georgia beats Keely, you hang the gold around it.
Kenyan women, mate, untouchable. 800, 1500, 5K and 10K, they're absolutely swept up. When you go over to Kenya, it is fascinating. They all have, the high-class women have 4, 5, 6 male paces at all times. They don't really train, like Chebe does not train with any, well, when I saw her on 2 occasions, she easy runs with other women, but she wasn't training.
Unless you train with Kip Yeagon, then you don't have anyone to train with. That's the thing.
But she wasn't training with any women. She was training with like 4, she had 4 male paces at all times on the track. And again, Kip Yeagon is the same. She trains with NN. I'm unfamiliar with any other women in that group. Like when we saw her documentary and stuff, she's just training with the guys, and she's got 4. And these, and I wonder. And I've always said, like, if you're a world class woman, if you can have 5 guys who are pacing you at all times, every single session, I mean, you're going to get so much out of yourself, and you avoid any conflict in rivalry in training. You avoid any doubts. With Keely and Georgia, that is a really interesting battle, and Trevor and Jenny are negotiating it very well to have 2 of the world's best, going head for head and matching up and fair play in that sense. And they're clearly doing it right. There's no rivalry. There is a bit of a rivalry, but not in a bad way.
No.
But that is difficult. And I feel like one of the fact Keely was doubting herself a little bit this year, I think would have stemmed from the fact that on a few key sessions, Georgia would have been challenging her, and she knows that, Georgia is one of the best, but if she's putting me to bed in training.
Yeah. And you've got to think there's got to have been those times this year. Like Georgia doesn't have that performance today without having done it a bit in training. It's a weird one. Like I think we talked all season. I think I've said on a few occasions that I only thought Georgia Bell would do the 8 if Keely wasn't doing it. Basically, fair play to her as well. Like, gone from being a non-pro in February 24 to then medaling in the Olympics and now medaling in the Worlds over 2 different events. It's insane.
Georgia Bell, 154.9 is, the way she came off that last 100, off the turn there.
It was so close to winning it as well.
No, for me,
like
they were close, but you could always tell Adira was going to win now. I mean, when we actually break down the race, Mary Mora has just
destroyed everyone, and I love it.
No, she destroyed Keely. I think she ruined Keely's race. And actually, had Keely not got tangled in this Mary Moore dicking around, I think she might have had enough. She only lost out by 300th of a second anyway, so 3/10.
But if they run that race again,
and
she learns her lessons, Keely wins, for sure.
And I think Mora was interesting. I was like, Mora, why are you not going to the inside? It was just. I was like, I did not get her game plan at all. Like,
I don't know. For me, I think Mora's trying to beat Keely rather than trying to beat the rest of the field.
And I wonder if there was some tactics in that, because she's gone out very fast and Adira sits off it. And whereas, people like Vero, she was right on it. She was trying to get as close to Keely as possible. And then obviously you had Mary Mora leading it. And so I wonder if there was some Kenyan tactics in that. And then again, like just causing a little bit of trouble down the back stretch, around a bend. But she did always give Keely the inside. I thought there were opportunities where Mora could have just drifted herself to the inside of lane 1. And that would have forced Keely to be boxed in or, have to really go around and push past Mora at a crucial time.
I think if Mora had actually cut across Keely just stays there, or she goes and makes a decisive move around the outside. Whereas actually leaving it open meant that Keely was almost like continually surging with her and actually ruined her race more. That made her more tired. Then Mora cuts in front of her. She just sits there and she just runs smooth. And then when she wants to go, she makes a proper move. Instead, Keely made about 6 surges to like almost like half get past and then didn't really go for it because. And I think Mora's done a great job there. Like, I'm not being funny. Like on another day with other athletes who aren't as strong, maybe you beat Keely and you get the win. Like I think she was racing to win and to race to win in that race as anyone but Keely Hodgkinson. You have to think, how do I beat Keely Hodgkinson? And you have to try something. So massive respect to Mary Mora for that, to be honest, because so many times we have these big favorites like Keely and everyone just plays into their hands. And then we say, well, why didn't you try something? So fair play to her. You know?
Yeah. And Georgia's done what she does best. You know, there is no one better than Georgia sitting in the pack and so somehow she sits in these like crazy positions, but they never affect her. Like she doesn't really like.
You just see it in her form though, mate. She's so relaxed. She's so good at relaxing.
Her cadence can run in the pack. Like, you know, is where some runners, like, to be fair, you look at Keely, you're like, I'm not sure her stride is just so fluent. And if you break Keely's stride, I don't think she does as well in a pack. Whereas I think this is why this is the 1500 meter runner in Georgia. Is she's able to run in a pack, make moves, get out of these situations, and just stay so relaxed in those positions. And you know, it's paid off for her today. So what an incredible final. And you know, if you look at the times in there, 3 of them 154, and we'll now talk about the men's 800 because 3 of them running 141. I mean, it's crazy. The depth is in these races. Like you can't be disappointed, one not being on the podium or one, you know, not getting gold, etc. Like, because everyone is so close now. You know, coming into this, you're like, Keely's got a second and a half on the next person. Yeah, and in this championships, it's like, well, you know, Sarah Mora's running 155.7. You know, it's just Sage Hurt-Klecker's run a massive PB 155.8. Like, you know, Vera's run 155 this year. Like these women, they're just so close now.
Yeah, mate. Let's move to those men's 800s. Look. I called it. I told you. Wanyonyi looked good. Sajati looked good. Arop's coming back into form. That was a great race, wasn't it?
You did call it. And again, you know, I think these guys haven't looked at it all year. Onyi's looked a little bit hit and miss coming into this champs. He looked great at the start of the year, then just looked a little hit and miss. And Sajati, again, is another one. And Arop as well has had his challenges this year. But those 3 big names got it right on the day. And Wanyonyi, fair play to him, man. I mean, the fact he is just 21 years of age is a joke. Yeah. You know, and he's got the Olympic gold and the World Champ gold under his belt already. It's just, he's an animal. And, you know, he did.
And he looked done as well. He looked absolutely done at about 500. You're like, this guy looks tired. He looks scared. Yeah. And the way he then just rallied and it was great to watch. And, mate, what we obviously have to talk about as well is Max Bergin, because I think we said kind of before the race that if he doesn't get a medal, something's gone wrong here. But actually, when you look at the time he's run and how quick that race was, he put himself in a good position. He really went for it. And I'm not sure he could have done much more, to be honest, mate.
No.
He's not the sort of runner that could do what McPhillips did or Tui did. The
problem is
he's not the sort of guy who's come from behind. So, like, I don't think it actually helps him going off any slower.
No, the problem for Bergin was he had bloody Wanyonyi and Arop in front of him, and he couldn't really get out. And you could see coming. I think it was about 120 to go. He kind of makes a move and just gets a little bit. He had to break his stride. And when you're breaking your stride in a 141 race with 110 to go, you lose 0.5 of a second. And that's all it was. I mean, 0.4 of a second behind the win, behind gold. I mean, it was so close. And that little break in stride there, it just cost him. And the fact that he would have, if he was going to get on the podium, he would have had to, I mean, Atui's kind of come through his inside. Atui does that all the time. You know, he's pretty physical and came up on Bergen's inside as well, which didn't look to affect him. But again, it's just, you know, just puts him off a little bit with sort of 60 to go. And I think had he not have had to stutter with 110 to go, and also the fact that Arop and Wanyonyi in front of him, he would have had to go into lane 3 to get past him. I guess he just found himself. What can you do when you've got 2 of the best ever, you know, one shoulder to shoulder coming off the bend? They're going to be extremely hard to get by. And those guys don't fade in the last 50 as well. Like, it's not like they tie up much. I mean, they do an incredible job at holding their form all the way to the line. And I mean, yeah, less than a second separated all 8 men there. And 142.7, I mean, that would have been enough to win just about every other championships by the Olympics last year. I mean, it's a joke.
Yeah. Great race. And like you say, Wanyonyi, what a talent. And we got him for so many more years. Another one as well, Keir McPhillips, 4th place, another national record, 142.1. He'll be pleased with that one. I don't think there's anything, I don't think anyone was going to beat those three on that day. Like they kind of, like you say, mate, haven't looked quite at their best and just showed their world class. Yesterday.
Do they do a most improved award? Because McPhillips gets it. I mean, comes into his champs 144, man, and goes and runs 142.1 in the final for a national record. Like, ridiculous.
After a national record in the semi as well.
Yeah. Comes forth. And talk about form in that last 80. It's ridiculous. He mentioned it in an interview that he's done a lot of work on his form and stuff. The guy doesn't break down. His form was ridiculous that last 80. Yeah, he does. I mean, he's going to be one to watch. Again, you know, you look at the Europeans, it's like, it's going to be so good next year in Birmingham, the standard of European distance running right now.
Yeah. Should we move to the women's 5?
Women's 5K, yeah. No surprise in the women's 5K. Like, one of the only races where we don't have a surprise result because of just how good Chevette is. I mean, she's untouchable, mate. And, you know, Kipyegon, in all fairness to her, like, I had to get after it, try and stretch it out. And by doing so, Kipyegon managed to get silver, I think. So she kind of had to just make sure Batticletti and Houlihan were, you know, I would back her to beat those, but Batticletti did get bloody close. But yeah, Chevette is just, she's untouchable. And this is a lady in her absolute prime. And again, you know, if she doesn't get injured, there's going to be years of this.
Yeah, agree, mate. I'm not being funny. When you watch someone move past Faith Kipyegon that easily, you're like, wow, how is that possible? And it's not even a Faith Kipyegon who's not in shape. She's just come
world record.
And just coming off the back of winning the 15. Like, it's crazy. Mate, as well. Hannah Nuttall, huge run for 8th place. And I'm not being funny, just the fact she was able to actually run the whole way around with these women and be there or thereabouts and be kicking with the best in the world is insane over 5,000 meters for a Brit.
Look, she's just had a terrific season. And yeah, you talk about peaking at the right time. I think one thing she's done is she's been able to, you know, we saw Ines Fitzgerald struggle a little bit, like we've seen Mills struggle a bit. She's been able to run incredibly well throughout the whole season. Like, she hasn't had a bad race this year. She's been able to negotiate British champs, win that, no problems. And then, you know, actually she still came to world champs and she had more. She had lifted it again. So, you know, Helen Clitheroe and her have just nailed it this year. Like, just executed so well. And so it was one of those races where Nuttall just needed to stay in it, and she did a fine job at staying in it. And then, you know, when things are opening up in that last 800, that last 600, she just managed to pick a few more off. Honestly, she just didn't really put a foot wrong. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, someone like Mills should, you know, we got to look at this and go, she got involved, you know, she got herself just off of that. She basically sat in 10th or so all race and then moved up a couple spots, and it was, you know, a little bit of change there. But I think she's gone in there and she's recognized that, look, there are about 5 or 6 women here who are a level above. And it's like, can I be, you know, how many women can I beat in this race? And you know what? She's, you know, beaten women. She was unlucky to get taken by Garcia as well, who finished incredibly well on the last lap. But yeah, she's beaten some very, very strong women there.
100%. And mate, that wraps up our champs. All done. Do you have a favorite race, mate? And what have you enjoyed the most?
Dude, there were just so many surprises. You just think back to like the marathons, you know, the sprint finishes in the marathons. You think back to Gressier. I mean, you think back to the 1500s, all the drama we had through the rounds, that 800 today. I mean, it's fresh in my mind, but those 2 races we saw tonight, the women's 800 and the men's 5K, for me were both like, they just get you so pumped up. And I don't know if that's just because it's just happened, but they were incredible.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, mate. And yeah, there's probably a bit of recency bias in there, but do you know what as well? I think that's the bar, maybe like 1 or 2 other races. I think today was the only ones I was able to watch live. And I know the world champs got to move around and the stadium looks great in Tokyo and a great location for these athletes to be able to go to. But I do think it's really hard watching from around the world on catch up or things like that. Whereas when you can actually, obviously Sunday today, being able to sit down and actually watch a race live, it does add something as well. You've been all right, haven't you, mate? You managed to watch everything live this week.
Yeah. That's it's a problem with your schedule, mate. But
not my schedule. That's the schedule of the world, mate.
Yeah, no, I know of quite a few people, you know, during the week they've had to like obviously catch up on, you know, they've been at work, so they physically, work.
That's it. And then you just like, all you're doing is trying not to see results.
It's impossible these days. It's impossible. I don't even do that because it's too difficult. You're right. There's nothing like watching things live and just being able to soak it all in. But what an incredible year of athletics. And that is it. You know, no more track races to go. And I'd
Which is
say
quite nice. That is the one thing I like about a September champs, right? If we
it's
had a
nice for
Diamond
the
League
athletes,
final in
isn't it?
2 weeks, like, what's the point?
Yeah, it's nice, but it's good for the athletes, man. Because they can now just go away, they can go on holiday,
Yeah.
and that's it. Talking
Although
of
they
the
do
end of
get
track
some nice
season,
prize money normally, don't they? Or appearance money coming off the back of the champs.
yeah, but they'll get all that next year. They'll get all of that next year. So, but the end of track season and the start of the road season, mate. We had Berlin Marathon, Sarway 202, the women's race.
The road relays as well. That's the start of the road
We had the
season.
road relays. The women's race was a little underwhelming, I guess. Rosemary wins 21. When you think we've had a 2:11 performance in Berlin, but I think that's the problem when it's clashing with. There's so many big marathons coming up, and now with the Sydney as another major, I just think some of these major marathon fields are going to get watered down. They're talking about Cape Town is going to be another major in the coming years, and then obviously Shanghai. So there's going to be. In the next few years, there's going to be 9 major marathons. And yes, obviously for the masses, it's a way the major marathon series can just clean up and take a load more money from people and open up the door and give people an opportunity to do a major. We know these events are impossible to get in now. They're selling out ridiculously fast. But I do worry from an elite standpoint, these fields are going to become quite, Shanghai might have a big pocket and just be able to recruit, once athletes. The fields are going to get a little watered down. And won't be it's not going to be as big to win to the major.
I think they should shake up the schedule and have 12 majors and 1 a month. And then whoever, any elites can basically really plan exactly what month they want to nail one in. And it doesn't matter. And obviously for the masses, you don't need to necessarily have them in spring and autumn. Do you know what I mean? And I just think just have 1 a month. And then as fans, we get to watch 1 major marathon every 4 weeks. Athletes can just pick whichever one they want to do. It's okay, I need to run my time by July, so I'm going to do a July one, whatever it is. And we just get a consistent showing of marathons throughout the season,
But I mean,
rather than we end up having a few on the same day or same weekend. And
I think the way the
3
sport's
in 2 weeks.
I think and that will be the 9 majors. And then on top of that, you've got your Valencias and your Sevilles and your Barcelonas and your bloody Rotterdams, Amsterdams and all of this, Frankfurt. But
that's what I'm saying. That's why I have 12 though, because then at least one person's in charge of all of them and they can just set them out.
I think
get Valencia as a major, or, Seville as
they
a
don't
major.
want it. They don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have elites doing 3 majors a year soon, but purely because of the purely just because financially you're going to be something better off. So I think you could see a world where you try and get one out, and I don't know when Cape Town and Shanghai will be, but
you alternate between 2 and 3 each year, based
obviously
with
Sydney.
the timings.
You could do. I mean, a lot of people are going to double back anyway, and they did after the Olympics. But you could technically do a sort of spring marathon. You could do Sydney in August, and you could do a New York in November. People did that after the Olympics, right? They doubled back. It was only 8 weeks between it, but a lot of people did the Olympics.
December.
Valencia, obviously as well. So you can do. It's not a major, but you could do that as well. So I just feel there's going to be change in the roads. And it's just becoming just mass participation events are becoming so popular. So that was the Berlin Marathon. Obviously, road relays, Southern Road Relays, AFD taking the win in both on their home course. CNC was second on the men's, Highgate third. Big up Bracknell AC coming fourth, making history. It's their best result ever. Great team of runners.
Once they got us out of the team.
What'd you say?
Once they got us out of the team.
Well, yeah, mate, I told you, we've had some big signings and a couple more weeks of training. They could challenge at the national 6 stage, mate. They're looking really good. So big run from them. Women's side, AFD, doubling on the podium, getting 1-3 for the senior women. Belgrade getting second. That was the Southerns. Obviously, Northers and Midlands took place as well. Obviously, with the World Champs in Berlin, haven't had too much opportunity to delve into those results. But the Nationals will obviously be in 2 weeks' time anyway, in October. The road reasons, that's it.
Looking forward to cross country, mate. Liverpool will be upon us very soon. Cardiff Cross Challenge course is looking beautiful. As always, I've been taking the dog around there. He's been practicing the little log jump. I reckon he'd do all right in that senior men's race. Thanks for listening to us. Hope you've enjoyed the champs as much as we have. We'll be back with some, I guess, more normal episodes very soon with some guests and things. What I'd say, if you guys are we're desperate to have this person on, that person on, send us a message on Instagram, send us an email at info@sundaypodcast.com. Whatever, comment on Spotify, let us know, and we will do our best to get you on. And if you're mates with anyone who you think we should get on as well, you can just ask him yourselves and arrange it for us. So be good to get who you guys want to listen to, as well as who Matt and I want to talk to. So thanks for listening to us. We'll catch you very soon.